Come on, I believe in you. Come on, God damn it. I believed in you, Twitch. I literally watched it do it. I had it saved as just chatting, and then it switched to Minecraft. I don't know why. It hates me, and I will never understand. Like, there's no way to do... You can't set a default channel. That's not how that works. I don't know why it keeps doing it. Yeah. All right, everyone. Today we are talking about Dionysus. In, of course, our wonderful book, Modern Witchcraft with the Greek Gods, written by Jason Mankey and Estrella Taylor. That was the best opening ever. I need to clip that. That was funny. Okay. I am not on camera today because I feel like shit today, despite the fact that I actually did set up my backdrop. Alright, everyone, you know that if you don't have the book, it is available through the Hellenic Herald Library. Unfortunately, only members of the Discord server have access to the library, as it is a private library. But make sure you go ahead and join the server. I'll put the link in right here. Hold on. That should trigger. There you go. And if you're joining in the book club chat, I'm going ahead and dumping our link. That is the link to the actual book. All right, let's get chatting. I'm excited. I'm excited about this. I love Dionysus. This looks good. Looks good. Good. Okay. It just opened another one. Okay. Wait, no, I want to save the changes. Shush. Save my changes. What is happening? Oh, you just click it. It's not control click. I'm silly. All right. That was a great time to get a drink. You drink a snacky snack and get ready to talk about the king of drinks, Dionysus. Alrighty. Ow, my throat. Alright, looks like everything is up. Perfect. I have trouble with the chat here. Let me see if I can fix this. I mean, I guess that kind of works. I wish I could just close the actual image here. Embed chat. Where? How do we do this? I just want to launch the chat so I can see just the chat. Yes. Oh, beautiful. It's 100% what I want. I need it smaller though. It's massive. I would know that there's a way to do it to get the Discord chat into the, or I get the stream, get the Discord in the streaming to share the chat. Anyway. Let's also, I need to bring up my notes. Sorry guys. Got a lot of notes. All right. Too far up. Okay, so this section, we're not going to read everything, but man, there's so much to talk about Dionysus. It's ridiculous. It kind of truly is. I feel like I'm going to end up closing that window by mistake. Can I mark on the stream? There we go. So Dionysus, god of wine, enthusiasm, liberation, intoxicated ecstasy, madness, and drama, was also was also the personification of some of these things as well. Artists often depicted him with horns, a full beard, and a mustache, or with a headdress of grapevine and grapes. Dionysus was often called the frenzied one, and he was considered one of the most favorite gods of women. Interesting, right? Especially as a deity who was predominantly depicted as male, although not all the time. And it is very. I gotta turn down this music; it's too loud for me. Sorry. So I had a migraine last night. I think I'm still slow because of it. So his wild celebrations, often they balanced the rigors of daily life and found their purpose with that in Greek society. And I honestly think that we need to do more like citywide celebrations, like not like a watch a parade, but like actively, like just a headbanger, you know. All right, this week we're having the I don't know, I don't go to Ragers. We could have like a free dancing nights, like put on by the city, free raves put on by the city. No drugs, please, because the city's putting it on. I don't want to do that, but like, although drugs were a thing in the parties of Elden days, but I really think it truly is correct. Like, it found this purpose in Greek society. It found purpose in society to have wild celebrations, to allow people to bond within their community in a positive way, to allow people to get the stress out, right? To allow people to have those wild moments so that they can deal with the monotony of every day. Okay, right? They still had to do chores in ancient Greece, so people were a little bored sometimes. Happens. All right, so Dionysus could have been from several places. It actually is also one of the deities that has multiple birth stories, because why the fuck not, right? Let's just confuse everyone even more. It's not like Dionysus was associated with Jesus in any way at any point in time in history. I can't do it with the straw. That's me sipping my tea. I don't actually have tea in here. It's Gatorade water. I'm not a crazy person drinking tea with a straw. Okay. But one of the places was that the Greeks believed that he arrived from Thrace, the northeastern region of Greece, also known as Phrygia. I don't know. So Dionysus' celebratory rituals are somewhat like those of Attis, the Phrygian. I don't know. The Phrygian. There you go. The Phrygian god who experienced madness and danced to the music of flutes and drums with the nymphs. But their myths are very different, despite the fact that they're celebratory rituals. I mean, look, music, dancing. Everyone's bound to have some of that, right? I don't know. But the earliest mentions of Dionysus are on the Linear B tablets found in Pedos? I don't know how to say words. And again, linear. So Semele, a mortal woman, was in one of the stories Dionysus's mother, and her name was meant to mean Earth. So, long story short, Zeus and Semele became lovers. Hera was upset and was like, "Bitch, you're not even vetting these partners. I can't believe you. Like, do you even have a job application for, new deity mothers, or are you just randomly letting anyone in to apply? Where's the job application? What are the qualifications?" Here's Mama Hera being like, "All right, with this person's qualifications. What do you mean you didn't get their resume, Zeus? What?" Now she's all mad and is like, "Yo, you can't just have a baby deity and just expect him to walk on the scene like freaking Cusco from Emperor's New Groove, owning the place and dealing with what? Celebrations? Rituals? You mean the thing that is connected to every deity?" Yeah, no. Mama Hera was like, no. Okay, let's see how bomb you truly are. Long story short, Semele dies from the divine presence of the realness of Zeus's real form. Didn't go well. And as there's another variation here, actually, I forgot to highlight. Some stories say that when his mom died, Dionysus died, but being embraced within Zeus revived him. And then when he was mature, when he reached maturity, he traveled to the underworld, retrieved his mother, then deified her, and renamed her Theone, which means ecstatic frenzy. Semele has been said to possess women who attended Dionysus's festivals. We just skipped right over that, right? We did the whole bit about the thigh and all that semi-divine fetus of Dionysus, whatever. But this dude grows up and is like, "All right, I'm gonna go get my mom." And just, do you know how many people travel to the do you know how many gods travel to the underworld? Not that many, surprisingly. That actually go there and come back. On just a willy-nilly, Dionysus is just like, "I'm just gonna go." Okay, that's fine. You dream big, bro, right? But and whatever, jump that. Deified her. How many I actually have to look. I'm gonna ask this. I have. Hold on. Let me find it. 1 second. I'm gonna keep scrolling through my notes here. Just while I look for. Because this is a big deal, right? There isn't a lot of instances in which someone just gets deified. Because it's really not common. Let me see. So okay, so Hercules, Asclepius, there's the Dioscuri, and there's Ino, and Palamon, whatever. And Dionysus, those are the other ones that I found, that Google found for me. So it's really not common. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other instances in which mortals are deified. Out of the total of less than 10 instances, there's 7 instances in total. 2 of those are from Dionysus, are related to Dionysus. Dude's just up in here deifying people like it ain't shit. So, and during their life, like, let's see, that's after death. Most of these are after the people die, though, to be fair. Yes. It's like, that's pretty big. That's gonna be a question I have for like the study guide people. Out of how many mortals deified belong to Dionysus? So after that, Dionysus also discovered the mortal Ariadne, mistress of the labyrinth, because she'd been abandoned by Theseus. Boo, fuck Theseus. And Dionysus was like, no, we're getting married. And she was like, what? And he's like, yep. And because you love labyrinths and paths so much, my new wife, you are now the goddess of paths and labyrinths. Congratulations. Happy wedding. I guess. This story may have been a parable for how Dionysian celebrations removed sadness, especially for women. So we go into talking about rituals now, okay? So there's a few rituals. Okay, so Aragonia is perhaps the most enigmatic. These are like nocturnal romps in the woods, were for women only, and were held by Dionysus' dedicated group of frenzied priests and priestesses. The Greeks thought of ecstasy as being outside of one's usual mentality or personality. So if you're normally like sick in the mud and you're gonna have to cut loose this weekend, you might not be 10 beers deep, or you might not be 10's a lot. You might not be 3 drinks deep, but you are cutting loose and like acting wild for you. You are in a state of ecstasy, my friend. Now madness was a step deeper. It was synonymous with frenzy and mania and Dionysus' divine essence. The Maenads, his women followers, you guys may have heard them, of course, were so frenzied that they were known for literally ripping animals apart. Madness goes to a point of which there's a complete lack of control. There's no clear thinking whatsoever, right? Being in ecstasy is out of one's usual mentality or personality. It doesn't mean that you're out of control. Madness means you are out of control. You are no longer on this plane of existence, right? The Dionysian madness released pent-up emotions and was considered to be therapeutic. The madness didn't last forever, though. The festivities occurred at proper time and places, and they did return to society. Ecstasy, madness, and everything that happened around those bonfires were not a thought of something to be sought out obsessively. So this is where people are like, this is where I talk to people about like, okay, where Dionysus wasn't all parties. Because like the first thing people will mention when I tend to bring up Dionysus, because I have a cat, his name is Dino, and he was named after Dionysus. So when Dionysus gets brought up, people are like, oh yeah, I love Dionysus, god of parties, blah, blah. And I'm just like, he was so much more than that, though. Like, so much more. Where he wasn't just about complete abandonment of society and, like, just all party all the time. Because the things that happened during the festivities, they weren't necessarily thought of as something to be sought out all the time. It wasn't addiction. It was ecstasy. And that's also why Dionysus, it can also be a patron for those who are recovering alcoholics or recovering addicts of any kind. Um, I've seen many people talk about that. So, the Dionysian celebrations were a break from daily life. They were considered, part of life, but not life itself. At the end of the festivities, priests perform rites to lift the madness and restore sanity. Right. So everything has a time and a place. Right. And then when we're done, we're done. So okay, so we're talking about the madness of Dionysus. So there's a story of the Minos sisters. They refused to celebrate Aragonia, which is one of the holidays for Dionysus. And they just like basically didn't acknowledge the holiday whatsoever. And being princesses, you kind of have a job to like, look, if you're inviting everyone over to your house for Christmas and your kids don't even want to make an appearance, mama's gonna get mad. Right? So he made snakes appear in their baskets for their weaving. He sent vines to curl around their looms to prevent them from weaving. And made wine and milk rain down upon them. And the princesses basically went mad and apparently decided that this meant that instead of just going to the festival and like making an offering like they tore a child apart. Whose child? We don't know at this point. I haven't heard this story before. I'm gonna go look it up. But yeah, whose child? We don't know. It just says a child. I feel like they may have taken this a little far. Okay. But so then they ran outside to join the festival lest something else happen. I don't know. I'm just saying the Dionysus sent snakes, vines, and milk and wine. They decided to kill a child. I'm just saying, it seems like they did the thing that was the bad thing to happen. But that whole point of that is that all work and no play leads to madness. Leads to, basically, you going a little crazy in the cuckoo, the Cocoa Puffs. So one of the interesting things one of the interesting things about Aragonia was that masks were worn, and both men and women, or priests and priestesses, wore the masks. And some of the celebrants too, which ensured secrecy, blah, blah, blah. And although it was possible that sex occurred at these celebrations, it appears that consent was respected. Consent was actually a really big thing. And the way we know this is the phrase from the Bacchae: she who is naturally chaste will partake of Bacchic rites without being touched. No means no, folks. Now, some people in Rome seem to have forgotten that was a thing. We'll get to that later. Rural Dionysia were celebrations that were held throughout the month of December to celebrate the birth of Dionysus. Some of the men dressed as women and sang songs about phalluses. God damn it. Where's my poop? That's so dumb. I love that. No, this one. I want this. I want to move this over here. There we go. Let's do woot. Woot woot. All right. I don't know what these songs were, but I really need them. So Great Dionysia, which is called City Dionysia, started in the 6th century BCE. And it was around the time of the equinox that people dipped the statue of Dionysus into the sea and then made a procession from the alleged birthplace of Dionysus to his theater in Athens. And then for 4 days after that, people watched tragic plays, but they were broken up with satirical and comedy acts, basically. The Anthesteria Festival, probably one of my favorites, the one I often tend to remember to celebrate, or older Dionysia, was held for 3 days in the spring. The festival started with a procession of people carrying last year's wine to the sanctuary of Dionysus in in the marshes of Athens. At nightfall, the wine was open, tasted, everyone had a good time. They were drinking competitions. It was a lot of fun, you know. People also used protective magic during that ritual because it was associated with the dead. I'm pretty sure the anthesteria. I'm gonna look it up. Is the ritual of pots, right? Is it the ritual of wine? Yes. It's opening. Yeah, it's the wine jars. It was also known as the Festival for Flowers and involved rituals for the dead. So the first day was the opening of jars. The second, and they would be like, opening of wine jars. The second day was like the drinking contest and all that. The first day is when they did the procession, right? And the last day, pots of food were left for the dead, and they made a new batch of wine for next year. Basically. One of the stories was told at Anthesteria was the tragedy of Icarius. I don't know how to say his name. He was the first guy who ever made wine. Dionysus taught him himself. He was like his intern or like student or whatever. And this dude was like, dope. This thing's amazing. I gotta go share it with everyone. Hey, my friends, like neighbors, drink the wine. They were like, what the fuck is this shit? We feel like we've been poisoned. What happened? Fuck you. You're trying to kill us. We're gonna kill you. And then they did. And then his daughter found him, and she was sad and hanged herself. And it offers the reason for why ancient association between red wine and blood, both of which are used in sacrifices and offerings. I mean, there's the connection, I guess. You know. It's funny. So, in the 3rd century BCE, a priestess of Dionysus invited men, went too far. So Dionysus also presided over the nocturnal orgia festivals. These were originally sacrificed for women. They happen like 3 or 4 times a year. They involve drinking, drugs, hunting animals, singing, and sexual initiations under a priestess of Dionysus. In the 3rd century BCE, men were invited into the festivals, which also expanded to Italy, where they called it Bacchanalia, for Bacchus, which is their name for Dionysus. It was also associated with symposia, which were nights where a group of men drank together. Basically, it was guys' night. It was boys' night. We had girls' nights and we had boys' nights. Now Dionysus broke gender norms in many ways. He is depicted as either young and naked, effeminate, or an effeminate man, or as an old man, bearded. He's wearing women's garments. And that he had priestesses as well as priests, which wasn't very common practice because he's depicted in rituals both as male and female, and both men, priests and priestesses, were allowed to wear his mask, which was a representation of Dionysus. And he was also renowned for having priests, priestesses, and followers who were gay, and these were aspects that were acknowledged and celebrated during that time or during his rituals. Before wine, but before all the partying and stuff, Dionysus, one of the things he was an early god of was agriculture. He introduced vines into Greece, helped them grow. He was a god of milk, wine, honey, and other natural fluids. Maple syrup? ? I don't know. Dionysus was represented in art as a mask hanging from a post, which was usually a phallus that meant the best of good luck. An ancient image of him was found in many places, and these posts were eventually called Hermes and were attributed to Hermes, who had a more stability and better associations with fertility, commerce, and protection. Now, so him and Hermes and Dionysus got along great, right? Because like Hermes got the Hermes from Dionysus, and but like him and Hera, not so much. So I mean, they were just kind of at odds. They weren't like angry or like mad at activate one another, specifically, but like they were on the two opposite ends. Hera was like hierarchy, marriage, order, and Dionysus was like wild festivals, no order, whatever, be with whoever you want, and whatever, and like there's Hera just like fingers on the bridge of her nose going another child of Zeus's that is giving me a migraine. I understand. As a child, when I was taking care of my younger brother, I was very much order. I still very much like order, but like, yeah. And in the Greek magical papyri, Dionysus was invoked for a love spell. He was also invoked in a curse tablet as well. We talked about how in Rome some people turned the Bacchanalia into some awful bullshit. Someone has to come fuck it up for the rest of us, right? In about 186 BCE, the Bacchanalia celebrations in Rome had grown enormous and were eventually, like, basically cut down because the focus became to defile new young initiates and without their consent. I don't know how they didn't face the wrath of Dionysus at that point. Probably did. This probably is a longer story. But basically the Roman Senate, because it got so bad and they were so out of, like, it was just so many people. It was like 5,000. That's so many. Like, they imprisoned people for this. Like, legitimately, people went to jail. People got arrested. And anyone who refused was often tortured or murdered. They were like, this is ridiculous, you guys. We're losing tons of people every year. So they said that the celebrations were limited no more than to 3 men and 2 women. They figured three women could probably take 2 guys. I mean, yeah. There's at least 1 woman left to get the knife and slat and like murder the 2 guys, you know? So that sucked. But Bacchus eventually, and this was the beginning of the bad rep. Bacchus then became conflated with the devil, which is really funny because Dionysus has a lot of similarities with Jesus in the story, and it's like really funny. So, and even in the early 1960s, Robert Croquet, the founder of traditional witchcraft, compared the horned god with young Dionysus. Don't know where he got the horns from, but whatever. Now today, science supports belief that dancing and mania dispel stress. In the wilderness, animals tremble and shake to release their stress. I've done this in real life with people where they're like stressed out, whatever, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna pretend to run. We're just jogging place for like a minute. Okay. We're thinking about the stuff that's making us upset. All right. Now we're gonna stop. We're gonna take a few breaths and we're gonna shake. And then we're gonna take a few more breaths. And then you're gonna drink water, eat some food. Why? It's a good time to hydrate. Why? Because in nature, in the wild, animals don't eat if they don't feel safe. So what you're doing when you have something that's upsetting you, you go ahead and run. And then you stop and you take that shake. You're shaking it off. You're running away from the thing that's upsetting you, stressing you out, scaring you, whatever. And you shake. And then you take a few breaths. Why? So we can calm down our nervous system. I need to do that more. So yeah, and it's just not something we do. And if anything, it says, most people bury their feelings and just continue about their daily lives. The consequence of that is that the reptile, the lizard brain, the animal brain, right? That's still part of us. It remains stuck in a state of high alert, creating conditions such as chronic stress and PTSD. Dancing is comparable to trembling, especially when loud drums are involved. There's evidence that dancing can actually heal the mind and integrate the body, even in people with severe conditions like dementia, which is marked by a lack of memory. And it appears that the Greeks made this connection long ago. Both the word mania and I don't know how to say that word, which is the Greek goddess of memory, and the mother of the muses come from the same root word men, which is about states of mind and thought. So that, they're obviously combining words here. But so the Greek goddess of memory is the mother of the muses. I'm just saying, it makes sense. So Dionysus can help remove blocks and what am I on here? Can help remove blocks and impediments. He's also called upon special occasions for celebration, particularly to mark a liberation from repression. So that's all for this time. We have magic with Dionysus. We have wine magic. I don't know what that does. What does that do? Attributes, when there are associations, diamonds, blah blah blah. Ritual calls for wine. Okay. But that's the only one that they do for this. So next time we have Hestia. And thank you all for